RPG completely take my legs out from under me. Despite that, I look forward to Poe 2 leagues more than I look forward to any other ARPG seasons right now. Finding a new build to navigate the challenging campaign is absolutely rewarding. You can play solo or you can play split screen on both console and PC. Yeah, it has split screen PC support, that's wild. It's also only $30 during its pre-access, and then it's going to be completely free after the 1.0 launch. The most recent season peaked at over 245,000 players on Steam, which doesn't count consoles or non-Steam player numbers. The amount of depth in the builds, the deepest endgame in the genre except for maybe Path of Exile 1, the amazing art and sound design, the best-in-class fights. Balancing issues aside, Path of Exile 2 is currently in a league of its own right now, and for that reason, I'm also going to be placing this one into the S tier. Next up, we have Grim Dawn, and the most upvoted comment on my last ARPG tier list video was one that said I had placed Grim Dawn too low, and so I went back and replayed the entire game before making this tier list. Grim Dawn was released in 2016 as a spiritual successor to the first Titan Quest. It was even made by many of the same developers and on the same engine as Titan Quest 1. This time, they went for the more classic ARPG vibe of a post-apocalyptic setting, making it a much darker and more grim game than its predecessor. Grim Dawn's skill tree reminds me of a sideways Diablo 2 skill tree, and I love that about it, but it also had some great original ideas as well. You've got different constellations that you can spec into, expanding on build customization. It's got a fairly deep reputation system that you can level up to unlock better items from vendors. The game starts with you spawning in with no class, and then you'll choose two as you play through the game. Mixing and matching classes provides a lot of replayability, and the itemization is deeper than most ARPGs. It even has a simple loot filter built right into the game, which is more than D4 or Path of Exile 2 can currently say, and I've got to admit, Grim Dawn was better than I remembered. The depth, the campaign, and the endgame were all much higher than your standard non-seasonal ARPG. The graphics have definitely fallen behind, but gameplay is infinitely more important, and that's where it shines. Skill animations are going to be a little bit underwhelming, but if you use the fan favorite Primal Strikes build like I did in my most recent playthrough, you get to enjoy one of the nicest spell animations in the game. After playing through it again, I do have to agree with you guys. There was a lot more depth in the items and builds than I had remembered. Orders of magnitude more than D3 even. It's also seen several expansions, so it's not like the developers released the game and then forgot about it. They've been adding content and quality of life for over 8 years, and it now sits at about 3,600 players on Steam. Grim Dawn is rated very positive, and you can pick it up for about $25, so it's got incredibly fair monetization. For all of these reasons, I'm gonna bump Grim Dawn up from B tier to A tier. Next up, we have Diablo 1, the original, the beginning, the start of the entire ARPG genre. Released all the way back in 1996, and it's still fun to play, but make no mistake, it's old and it feels old. Still, if you haven't played it yet and you love ARPGs, it's 100% worth it to see where it all started. You'll be amazed at how much of the modern day ARPG came straight from Diablo 1. It did so much right that you can see its reflection clear as day in Diablo 2, Path of Exile, Last Epoch, and every other ARPG today. In Diablo 1, you start in a village where people are being unalived or going missing. Evil seems to be pouring out of the church, and so you head in to investigate. The entire game is one long dungeon crawl, taking you deeper and deeper, floor by floor beneath the church. The deeper you go, the more terrifying it gets, until eventually you encounter the game's namesake, Diablo. This game wasn't perfect by any means. Most notably, your gold literally took up inventory space, so you had to dump it on the ground in town and just leave it there for future expenses. Also, the game wouldn't let you run while you were in town, so you had to painfully walk from NPC to NPC to turn in quests. But despite its old school jank, Diablo 1 established that mood, that unmistakable Diablo vibe that players know and love. I highly recommend giving it a go, but be warned, it is old, the controls are janky as hell, pun intended, but none of the other games on this list would even exist if it wasn't for Diablo 1. A full playthrough takes about 8 to 10 hours if you're fairly thorough. When this game launched, it literally invented a genre we didn't know we needed. But by today's standards, it's relatively short and it's lacking a lot of modern day quality of life. Back then, I would have placed it S tier, hands down. But today, this is more of a B tier experience. Next up, we have Diablo 2. It was June 29th, 2000. We had all just survived the Y2K bug.
Oh no, it's happening.
And after many delays, Diablo 2 finally released. I played it every day and carried my computer to LANs all summer. RPGs have progressed a long way past what Diablo 2 did, but no game has aged as well as Diablo 2 has, especially with D2 Resurrected having turned out so incredibly well. As much as I love Diablo 2, I have to admit, by today's standards, the boss fights really stand out as underwhelming, although the first time you fought each one of them was terrifying and educational. Whether you were dying to Andariel's poison and you needed to run back for antidotes, or the chilling attacks from Duriel with nowhere to run that needed you to use the thawing potions, or suddenly finding yourself in Diablo's bone prison, or what about when you learn about Neelithak's corpse explosion? Your first encounter with each of these bosses was great, but after you've seen it once, you've seen it all. Their AI and attack variety left a lot to be desired by today's standards. Still, these minor issues did little to stop this game from feeling just about perfect in its prime. Ironically, stash space in Diablo 2 was awful when it launched.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting.
Of all the things for Diablo 4 to borrow from Diablo 2. I think Diablo 2 is best enjoyed as a roguelike. Create a new character, play through the game for 1 or 2 difficulty levels, and then start over with a new build. When played this way, it's got fantastic replayability thanks to the fact that you never know what piece of gear you're going to find to enable some new way to beat the game. Ditching the expectation that you'll play one character forever is important because that would really just involve running the same couple pieces of content endlessly once you've beat hell difficulty. Of course, a younger me didn't follow that advice, and I did level a Boazon all the way up to 99 so I could PvP over the bridge just outside of Act 1. Diablo 2 did so much right, and man did it raise the bar for what a video game cutscene could be. The sense of exploration in the zones, whether it be finding a random cave or a tower or the secret portals and the itemization, they were all fantastic. Or rare drops like the Oculus or the Stone of Jordan made it feel like you won the lottery when you'd finally see one on the floor. Rune words would eventually be added and kind of destroy itemization, but they were a neat idea, with new rune words being added with each season. Speaking of, Diablo 2 was the first game to bring seasons to the ARPG genre, and charms were a great addition, although I always wish they had their own inventory space, and I still do today. I'm definitely guilty of running around with only enough inventory space for one item because my inventory is filled up with some lightning charms or fire charms, but there was just something that I loved about slamming tons of points into a random ability and seeing how far it could take me every time I leveled a new character up. The more I talk about Diablo 2, the more I want to boot it up and play. It's not perfect because no game that is a quarter of a century old could be, but the fact that it's still this much fun to play almost 25 years later, and the fact that every successful ARPG today looks to it for inspiration is a testament to how much it got right, and perhaps how ahead of its time it was. For all of these reasons, and because Diablo 2 Resurrected really brought a lot of the quality of life that makes this even more playable in the modern day, I'm gonna have to put this one into the S tier. Diablo 2 was and still is one of the best ARPGs ever. Next up, we've got Diablo 3. This one launched with the infamous Error 37. I remember staying up all night for the midnight release, only to realize I wasn't going to be able to play the game, and finally giving up around 4 a.m. and going to bed. Corporate greed briefly reared its head with this game, launching it with an in-game real money auction house. Fortunately, player outrage prevailed, and it was eventually removed. First impressions were that Diablo 3 wasn't bad, but it was a substantial step away from the many features that longtime Diablo fans had loved. Diablo 3 had fluid combat and that Blizzard polish, and the hype leading up to its launch made sure that it sold incredibly well. Blizzard knows how to market an ARPG better than anybody else. But this time, Blizzard simplified the game, going with a simple skill augmentation system that it called its rune system, and one of my least favorite Diablo 3 decisions was to absolutely bulldoze itemization with sets. The silver lining was that those sets did enable some builds that were fun to play, but that meant every other person playing your class was wearing the exact same gear and the exact same skills as you. Build customization and diversity were at an all-time low. Diablo 3 was Blizzard's attempt to make Diablo child-friendly, a decision that left a lot of Diablo fans feeling abandoned. It was also guilty of oversimplifying builds to make sure the casual gamer could enjoy them. This meant that most people would burn out or finish a season entirely inside the span of a single week. The Reaper of Souls expansion did a lot to repair the reputation of Diablo 3, and the addition of rifts and greater rifts gave players a decent endgame when compared to Diablo 2. Diablo 3 succeeded at making a casual-friendly Diablo, but at what cost? Diablo 3 would become the first in the franchise to lose the top spot as the most popular ARPG in the genre that it created. Ironically, they lost that spot to Path of Exile, who had the exact opposite approach. Where Diablo 3 wanted to reduce the number of options you had while playing, Path of Exile wanted to increase the number of options you had while playing. Diablo 3's biggest mistake was assuming gamers couldn't handle something more complex, when that was exactly what we were craving. As a longtime fan of the Diablo franchise, I have a lot of hours in Diablo 3. But I always felt like the dumbing down of builds and the child-friendly tone was just moving the game in the wrong direction for a franchise about fighting Satan and its demons. For all of those reasons, and thanks to the incredible competition it's facing from the rest of today's ARPGs, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the B tier. Diablo fans waited 10 years for a new Diablo game, and in 2022 their patience was rewarded with
Diablo Immortal. We want to use mobile devices as the platform for a new Diablo game.
Tremble before
I can't think of a game that better encompasses the Bobby Kotick legacy. It's by far the most offensively monetized ARPG that I'm aware of. Players on Reddit even calculated that it would cost over $500,000 to max out your character.
Is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
Blizzard had a chance to convince the world they could make a great mobile game, but Bobby's greed won instead, and they ended up making what is widely considered the most anti-consumer and worst ARPG in the entire genre. What Diablo Immortal successfully did was create a massive number of anti-fans who would go on to very vocally root against anything Blizzard touches, even to this day. For all of these reasons, Diablo Immortal is F tier. I can't think of a single game that did more damage to a developer's brand than this one. Next up, we have Diablo 4. After Diablo Immortal had sullied the Diablo name, Diablo 4 was a first chance at a redemption arc for the Diablo franchise. Blizzard went on to make the most compelling advertising campaign for any ARPG ever, and as a result, people showed up. Diablo 4 sold more copies than any other ARPG launched before. Diablo 4 does a lot right. The combat is smooth and impactful, the sound design is amazing, the art is fantastic, and the cinematics are absolutely stunning. But there were also a lot of unforced errors that just made it feel like this game was designed by someone who had never really played ARPGs before. Launching with 4 stash tabs, no loot filter, resistances that didn't work when resistances are a massive staple in any ARPG. It had very few engaging boss fights and a very half-baked endgame, just to name a few of the problems. To me, it just feels like this game launched before it was ready. Still, Diablo 4 is a great casual-friendly ARPG, and a great starting point for anyone new to the genre. If you've got 6 kids and 3 wives and no time for games, this might be the perfect ARPG for you. All in all, Diablo 4 ended up feeling a lot more arcadey than Diablo 2 or Path of Exile. The devs wanted to make this game more casual-friendly, again, and they succeeded in doing so. Whether that makes it better or worse comes down to the player you ask. Personally, I wish Diablo 4 had a deeper, more complex skill tree and better itemization. The current way that they're using legendaries that have to be paired together to enable a build has basically turned them into glorified sets from Diablo 3. Diablo is currently rated mostly positive on Steam, and it peaked around 35,000 players on Steam during its last season. It's worth noting that most of Diablo 4's players play straight through the Battle.net client, so that Steam number only represents a small fraction of the D4 player base. I'm optimistic for Diablo 4's future because I do know some of the features that are coming to the next expansion after hopping onto a private call with the developers. Of course, it all comes down to how they execute on the features that they discuss. Diablo 4 wanted to be the casuals ARPG, and to that end, it succeeded. I feel like there's a lot this game could do better, but it's also still fair to say that this is still one of the best ARPGs that's ever been released. And for that reason, I'm gonna go ahead and put it into the A tier. I know a lot of you guys are gonna disagree with me on this one, so where would you put Diablo 4? Launching in 2024 was Last Epoch, probably the most ambitious new franchise to enter the genre since Path of Exile 1. Last Epoch is one of the few ARPGs that really innovated with its launch. One of the best parts of Last Epoch is that it gives you an entire skill tree for every single skill. These are exactly the type of systems I love to see in an ARPG. It also includes 200 stash tabs that come with the purchase of the game. Last Epoch also released with a loot filter built into the game, probably the best loot filter of any ARPG to this day. It also launched with a respectable endgame, and it has a solo self-found feature that increases the drops for people playing on solo self-found. Finally, somebody did it. Last Epoch isn't just doing a lot of things right, it's doing some of those things better than industry veterans like Diablo and Path of Exile. Unfortunately, Last Epoch has struggled to get into a reliable seasonal cadence, although that does seem to be improving in recent months. Last Epoch is rated mostly positive on Steam and peaked at an incredible 150,000 players during its last season. Last Epoch didn't just create another ARPG, it created a great ARPG with some truly innovative features that helped push the entire genre forward. Even Jonathan Rogers from Path of Exile 2 admitted Last Epoch did some things that forced him to make Path of Exile 2 better to keep up. I can't think of a bigger compliment. Last Epoch is a fantastic ARPG. I would recommend it to anyone. Last Epoch isn't quite putting out the seasonal content that Path of Exile is, but it's definitely putting in a respectable effort. And for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and place it into the A tier. Next up, we have Wolcen, launched in 2020 while we were all stuck at home. The game looked gorgeous and it grabbed every ARPG player's attention when gameplay started coming out. But on release, it turned out that the game was unfinished and the servers weren't ready for the influx of players. And almost as soon as players were in the game, gold was being duped and items were being duped. The economy was instantly destroyed, but that might have been okay if the gameplay was good enough. Unfortunately, the skill tree ended up being a broken mess, with many of the nodes not doing what they said they were doing and many just not working at all. The endgame was a particularly underwhelming mobile-esque idea, and while the game looked great and had some good ideas, it simply wasn't ready for release. Today it has about 65 lost souls visiting it on Steam, and developers announced over a year ago that they were no longer supporting the game, and its multiplayer functionality has been removed. The developers said the game's problems were so deep within the architecture of the game that it just wasn't feasible to fix them, so they've moved on. For all of the reasons mentioned, I'm gonna have to put Wolcen into the D tier. It's still broken, the developers have left it behind, and there's just better ARPGs to invest your time in now. Next up, we have Van Helsing, which was a trilogy of 3 back-to-back ARPG titles released 1 year apart in 2013, 2014, and 2015, with each one being received worse than the one before it. The first 2 were enjoyable enough, though nothing genre advancing. But the third one sits at mixed reviews on Steam, with comments saying it was a bit of a buggy mess to begin with. The trilogy is set in Bregovia, a fictional world blending gothic horror, steampunk, and dark fantasy, so it had a unique setting. It features a mix of supernatural creatures, mad scientists, and weird science, creating a unique atmosphere distinct from your typical fantasy RPGs. Van Helsing also brought tower defense into the ARPG genre before Path of Exile's Blight League, so that's something. That said, while it's nowhere near being one of the best games in the genre, it's still a fun game and they did a lot right, so I'll be putting it into the C tier. Next up, we have Torchlight 1, a project made by a small team of former Blizzard developers, some of whom were the creators of Diablo 1. Torchlight released in 2009. The lack of a budget really shows in this game's lack of customization, its lack of online play, and its lack of depth. It almost feels like a demo for the sequel to come. It wasn't a bad game, but it wasn't amazing either. It was just good enough for an avid ARPG player to sink some time into it, enjoy a couple playthroughs, and then move on. I think a lot of what held this game back was the fact that the developers shipped it and then immediately went to work on Torchlight 2, which was basically the finished version of Torchlight 1 in a lot of ways. In this game, you delve deeper and deeper underground, just like in Diablo 1, and that's just one of many similarities because this game was made by the same people. I love the idea of the original Diablo creators spinning off from Activision Blizzard to make their own game. I just wish they had made something darker and scarier than the kid-friendly theme that I really think held this franchise back from being what it could have been. This entry's $14, rated very positive on Steam, and it was solid in its prime, but it doesn't hold up against the much better games you can play today. Torchlight 1 has 30 players on Steam right now. This one would have been a decent game in its prime a long time ago, but there's far better ARPGs today, including its successor. So I'm going to be putting this one in the C tier. Next up, we have Torchlight 2, by far the best Torchlight available available. It released in September of 2012, about 4 months after Diablo 3. Torchlight even lightly copied the general story from Diablo 2. The hero from Torchlight 1 goes on to be the villain of Torchlight 2. Nice touch. They brought back the ability to spec into attribute points. Unlike Diablo, however, you can fish in Torchlight, for what that's worth. The pet system in this game is unique, and it was a nice solution to always having to run back to town to sell. You instead load up your pet with items, and they'll head back to town to sell for you. You can even have them buy potions or scrolls when they head back. Unfortunately, just like Torchlight 1, Torchlight 2 went with this more vibrant, child-friendly art style. It serves to make me wish these OG devs from Diablo 2 had gone the opposite direction and created something twice as terrifying as Diablo. Twice the evil, twice the gore, twice the scares. But instead, we got a really solid, vibrant game that wasn't bad, but wasn't ever going to jeopardize Diablo or Path of Exile's grip on the ARPG genre. All in all, it's a great game. 4 solid classes to choose from, a decent enough story, and lore system that's held back by its family-friendly departure from what made Diablo so unique. It had solid itemization, and the gameplay feels great. But as you can tell, I just never could get into the world that they made. If only they were allowed to stick to angels and demons. Today, it's rated very positive and has 270 players on Steam. Torchlight 2 was the best Torchlight in the franchise, so if you feel like trying any of them, this is the one to try. It holds up remarkably well even today, and for that reason, I'm going to put it into the A tier. Next up, we have Torchlight 3. What happens when you want to make an MMORPG, but then your player base tells you that the MMO just isn't fun, and so you decided to turn it back into an ARPG instead? Well, Torchlight 3 happens, and as you can imagine, this ended up an ARPG that just missed the mark. It didn't improve on what came before it because at one point it was trying to be something completely different. The game was released to medium reception and, worst of all, was almost immediately abandoned by the developers. It really felt like their hearts just weren't in it anymore. Torchlight 3 has 26 players on Steam and has a lowly mixed rating from users. For these reasons, Torchlight 3 is going to go into the D tier for me. The developers just weren't in love with this game. Even when they released it, they moved on right away. And there's just a better Torchlight for you to play, Torchlight 2. Next up, what would you get if you made a pay-to-win version of Path of Exile and slapped some gacha into it and dropped the Torchlight coat of paint onto it? You get Torchlight Infinite, a half-decent mobile game held back by the fact that it's pay-to-win in a genre where there are tons of alternatives that aren't pay-to-win. The gacha system for pets and hero traits was just really unbearable for me. It could have been a decent game with some solid potential if not for the monetization. And for all of these reasons, I'm going to be placing Torchlight Infinite into the D tier. With all of the ARPGs that aren't pay to win, I can't think of a reason to recommend one that is. Next up, we have Titan Quest 1, released in 2006. Titan Quest was one of the first games to be called a Diablo-like. The game takes place in a setting where it feels like you were dropped into the middle of a Gladiator movie. And considering the game's age, it actually looks great thanks to the fact that it received a graphics overhaul. Despite its departure from the post-apocalyptic setting that other ARPGs live in, I actually enjoyed the art style of this one. It had interesting features like the fact that mobs drop whatever weapon type they had equipped, bow wielders dropped bows, staff wielders dropped staves, so weapon upgrades were sort of target farmable. If you saw an enemy wielding a legendary item, it actually showed as wearing that item, and the enemy would receive the buffs that it got from that item. But best of all, when you killed the enemy, you got that legendary item. But probably most interesting of all is this 2006 ARPG had a built-in loot filter, which is absolutely wild to think about considering how many ARPGs released today still don't have one of those built in. Like Diablo 2, it had 3 difficulty tiers, and it lacked a deep end game. It also lacks a significant crafting system by today's standards. I wish I would have discovered this game back in 2006. I know I would have absolutely loved it, but I didn't find it until much later after it was more of a novelty than a true contender for my ARPG attention. Still, as far as a fun ARPG to play goes, it's a pretty good game considering its age. And with it being on Steam rated very positive and only costing $19, it's hard to imagine you wouldn't get your money's worth out of this one. Titan Quest 1 was a fantastic game in its prime, but by today's standards, the best I can do for this one is put it into the B tier. Next up, we have Titan Quest 2, currently in its early access. I think what's in this game so far is fantastic, but it's very light on content. In fact, I wish they would have waited a little bit longer to release this one just so I had more to enjoy, because it looks like they were heading in the right direction anyway. The stats on the loot looks good so far, skills have great customization, and the passives look really interesting, so I think this one's heading in a really promising direction. Titan Quest 2 is made by a separate studio from Titan Quest 1, but despite that, this studio did a fantastic job job of creating a beautiful and immersive world for you to wander through. Once again, you can mix 2 classes to make some pretty cool builds, and combat felt great. I think my biggest feedback for the devs on this one is to increase mob density and add way more boss fights. It's a bit difficult to place this one on the tier list because it's so far from being finished, but it looks like it's on its way to being a high tier entry that'll land somewhere around A tier, give or take. Now, what's there is good, but there's only 6 hours of content, so the best I can do for this one right now is put it in the B tier, with hopes that I'll be able to place it much higher when it's finished. Next up, we have Sacred, released in 2004, set in the vast fantasy world of Encaria. Players get to choose from 8 unique characters, each with distinct starting quests and skills. So this was an ARPG that took place in one massive open world. The game features 16 diverse regions, from forests to deserts, and a day-night cycle with dynamic weather. Combat was fast-paced, with cooldown-based abilities instead of mana, and players collected runes to unlock and upgrade their skills, which meant sometimes you just wouldn't find the rune or the skill that you wanted to use. But this rune system probably reminds you a lot of the gems that you found in Path of Exile to unlock skills in that game. With over 30 main quests, 200 side quests, and a loot system featuring set items and imbuable gear, Sacred offers respectable depth. It was great in its time, but by today's standards, it's got a lot of jank. Combat feels clunky, and balance was not great. A commercial hit with over 2 million copies sold, it's a Diablo-style classic with rich exploration and replayability. It's rated very positive on Steam, with about 100 players playing it at this moment. In its prime, I would have easily set this one into A tier, maybe even higher. But today, the best I can do for this bad boy is put it into the B tier. Next up, we have No Rest for the Wicked, launched into early access in 2024. In this game, you play as Sarum, a holy warrior, battling a corrupting plague amidst political strife. This is Diablo meets Dark Souls, and it's still in its early access, so I'm not going to be able to pass final judgment just yet. First impressions of the game were that it was quite frustrating due to things like armor breaking and then spiraling you into an almost unsolvable debt problem. But devs took that feedback to heart and have fixed that, along with a lot of other issues that plagued the game at its launch. On the positive side of things, unlike procedurally generated ARPGs, the open-sized zones are meticulously designed with verticality, hidden paths, and secrets like chests and lore items. Exploration feels rewarding, with shortcuts and environmental storytelling akin to a Dark Souls game. Combat is also more Souls-feeling than any other ARPG, with very deliberate attacks and dodges playing a huge role. The worst part about the game right now is that it's massively lacking in enemy variety and content in general. It's only got about 1,200 players on Steam right now because it is still just an unfinished game, but it is showing a lot of promise, so I'm going to go ahead and set it into the B tier. Next up, we have Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr. Released in 2018, this game nails the grim gothic aesthetic of the 41st millennium, with detailed environments like shrine worlds, industrial wastelands, and void ships. The lore-rich narrative, centered on an Inquisitor purging heretics in the Calgary sector, immerses players in the Warhammer universe. The voice acting, the music, and the visuals all help to enhance the immersive environment that you find yourself in. It offers 4 classes, each with 3 subclasses, but combat feels a bit sluggish compared to modern-day ARPGs, and multiplayer, while functional, comes with a healthy dose of occasional lag and matchmaking issues. It's got about 250 players on Steam right now, and it's rated mostly positive. Endgame content, while much improved from when it was launched, can feel grind heavy, with rewards not always matching the effort that you put into it, especially for solo players. Still, if you're someone that is both a Warhammer fan and an ARPG fan, then you probably got to give this one a go. And for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and place it into the B tier. Now, if you disagree with where I put one of these ARPGs, that's totally okay. I just ranked something like 20 of them, so it's going to be quite magical if you agree with me on every single one. But let me know down in the comments, which ones would you have placed higher, which ones would you have placed lower, and if I got something way wrong, let me know, and maybe I'll take a look at it again before I do this video next year. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. If you're not sure what to watch next, maybe check out one of the videos popping up on screen right now, and I hope to see you in the next one.
Not.
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
I've been playing this game a little bit off stream.
Men only want one thing. It's not money. It's not power.
Feminine soul, brother. You're
Sorry, didn't mean to hit you with the hard yar right out of the gate. I've just been very pepped up ever since they shut down all those hooters. Now we're machines by sequencer life. I still haven't replaced my go-to
You
air.
can just find her on OnlyFans.
Anyways, after 84 long years, the Japanese have returned to Hawaii. This time,
After 84 long years, the Japanese have returned to Hawaii. Just a second.
Control lost. You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
I'm opening a portal.
It's a classic.
gifts. A gift that combines two of the greatest things there are. Pirates and Yakuza. Yakuza games are like a cocaine-did LSD that smoked a bowl. Japan before and after the nukes right here. And Hawaiians are like high-level swordmen. God damn you. Let me get a picture.
I've been playing this game myself.
I'm sending that to my lawyer, you fuck. In Pirate Yakuza, all it takes is minutes to go from some poor lady mourning the loss of her entire family to a 60-year-old man blasting the Angry Birds theme while he drifts his pirate and shooting his laser purple cannon, purple cannon, at a ship full of clowns, then topping it off by strafing their purple cannon, at a ship.
Oh my god. They even have Reddit representation.
Full of clowns, then topping it off by strafing their poop deck with a fully automatic non-lethal flintlock. That sentence only even exists in a Yakuza game, and that's the abbreviated version. Every time I think these games can't get any wilder, they add an entire mini-game that's basically Duck Hunt, if instead of
Yeah, they have a mini-game in one of the Yakuza games where you can literally basically just watch porn. I don't know how that happened, but yeah.
The ducks flying out of the trees, you're reacting to old up guys jumping out from behind a dumpster. There is not a single franchise that has as much fun as Yakuza does. And when I get a spare lifetime, I plan on finishing every
I never understood how good these games.
It will take more than light to solve our problems.
You're underestimating my light. That's okay. Happens all the time.
You don't know.
This shit is getting crazy. Like, y'all thought it was bad yesterday? Well, you could say it's heating up.
Indonesia has seen another day of anti-government protests. They're being fueled by the death of a 21-year-old motorcycle driver who was killed when a police armored vehicle ran him over at the site of a demonstration in the capital.
Obviously,
in central Jakarta, rioters set fire to a 5-story building near police headquarters, while others torched vehicles and attacked government offices. Demonstrators are angry about what they call lavish perks for lawmakers, rising living costs, and the lack of jobs.
It's only going to get worse because a lot of these developing countries relied on manufacturing jobs from first world countries, and now those manufacturing jobs are getting edged out by automatic machinery. Yeah, this is just going to keep getting worse.
President Subianto has appealed for calm and promised a full investigation.
Gasping for air from tear gas. Paramedics are rushing to get this protester in Jakarta.
It seems to me like this person getting run over, this is like a flashpoint, but it wasn't really the beginning point. It seems like these people have been unhappy for quite a while.
These protests have spiraled out of control. But they started as largely peaceful demonstrations against low wages and lavish perks for lawmakers.
Who pays their electricity bills? Who pays their taxes? We do.
Yeah. That's true.
Within moments, it all turned to mayhem. Bloodied faces and injured bodies strewn across the streets of the Indonesian capital. Protesters set buildings on fire.
God damn, what the fuck?
Police responded with tear gas. And
bro, this is insane. Even comparing this to LA, like LA was nothing compared to this. Like this is This is a countrywide it's a national crash out. There's a lot. Police are cooked, yeah.
Water cannons. A desperate attempt to calm the unrest. Then came the moment that shocked the nation. As armored police vehicles like this one plowed into a 21-year-old delivery driver, Afan Kurniawan.
Shouldn't have done that.
He wasn't even part of the demonstration, just doing his job when he was hit and run over.
Man,
this
that's sad.
is his funeral.
Their GDP is fake. I think really the problem is that a lot of these countries don't really have any, like a lot of their economies are built around other countries giving them money for like services. And once that goes away and those countries aren't needing that anymore, then you have the entire economic structure of that area fall apart. Because they don't how do they make money? How are these people going to live these lives whenever they're not being given money but from these other countries? You see what I'm saying? A lot of countries operate this way. They do. And I don't know what's going to happen with something like this either. It topples quickly, yeah.
Jakartans mourning not just a young man, but a tragedy that has deepened the unrest.
Yeah.
We are very disappointed in all law enforcement agencies, especially the police chief. Please pay attention to this. These drivers are also human. We demand justice for Afan. Those responsible for running him over must be tried fairly and dismissed from their jobs.
Afan's death has ignited national outrage, forcing even the president to break his silence.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right, make a compilation. Yeah, never understood people say something like that with no one to back it up. Indonesia's fast-growing economy with low level of unemployment, the issue of the wealthy getting excessive privileges and abuse of power from the government. Well, I mean, I feel like it's definitely, I mean, like, they have the same problem. What I find to be really interesting about this is that I think this is the reason, like, if you look at a country like this, this is probably one of the reasons why America has such a strong two-party system. It's so they avoid having nationwide crash outs like Indonesia's having. Because really, whatever privileges that the people in the Indonesia parliament are having, I bet the people in America's fucking House of Representatives and Senate have even more. So why is it that nobody here is doing the same thing? Well, it's because people are so divided here. And that's, I think, one of the biggest differences is that if you look at the beginning of this video, they said these are anti-government protests. And I think that's one of the big differences between this and what happens in the U.S. is that in the U.S., it's always based off of a political party. You almost never have a protest that is against the government collectively. The closest thing that we had to that was maybe Jeffrey Epstein, and not even that really mattered. Because people politicized that and they turned it into a partisan issue as well. Your system does that by design? Well, I know that, and it's working as intended. That's my whole point.
Shocked and disappointed by the officers' excessive actions, I have ordered that last night's incident be thoroughly and transparently investigated, and that the officers involved be held accountable.
That's the best you can do. Been building since President Prabowo took office last year.
The fucking, bro, the One Piece shit is actually real. Like, I remember whenever people were telling me about this yesterday, and I was like, oh, there's no way that's real. But apparently it is, yeah. Is that a good thing in your opinion? I think that it is a bad thing. I think that American politics would be better. Like, basically, this is my conspiracy brain opinion. Is that I think that after Occupy Wall Street, where Occupy Wall Street was the last concerted, class-based revolt against the ruling political and economic class in America. And obviously it didn't really go anywhere, but I think that after that, there has been a deliberate and an intentional effort made to poison pill any type of economic socialism or any type of economic distribution of wealth or economic responsibility that wealthy people have. and they poison pill the groups of people that are advocating for it with identity politics. And so nobody wants to hear or give a fuck about what somebody's saying about wealth inequality when they keep talking about why kids should be able to transition at age 7. That's the problem. So it's like an instant poison pill that prevents any sort of homogeny and a homogenous pushback against really a ruling class of elite people that are making all of the money. If you didn't know this, like all of these stock, 90-something percent, 91% of the stock market gains that happened ever since the recovery from COVID were enjoyed by the top 1% of the population. So just so you understand that, 1% of the population made 91% of the money on the stock market following the stock market going back up. And that's the reason, by the way, that the stock market going back up doesn't mean anything to you, because your groceries are still fucking expensive. That's the reason. That's the reason. And oh wow, look at the GDP, the fucking stock market, all this stuff is really high. Yeah, who gives a fuck about that? You can't buy food. You can't afford steaks anymore. What the hell is this? And so the problem is that people look at these artificial indicators of the economy that are created and constructed to intentionally obfuscate the average person's lived reality. And the problem now is that I think this is being done intentionally. I think the Democratic Party for a very long time was they were trying to fight against that in a lot of cases. Like I used to be a very strong Democrat. I wouldn't really say that I am anymore. I wouldn't identify as a Democrat at all. Like, I think that I have primarily liberal views, but I would never say I'm a Democrat. The point is, though, is that after Occupy Wall Street and the movement and the motion that caused, I think that they definitely infested and polluted those class-based arguments with, with identity politics. And I also think, to a lesser extent, that's the same reason why the media tries to demonize Trump. Even though Trump does do things for rich people, and he is obviously operating in the best interest of rich people, he is a rich person, I think that Trump represents a economic, like a form of some degree of economic socialism that many right-wing people actually have. And I think that's shifted primarily and in a massive way. And so they keep people divided, but they don't want to see that movement get any farther. Because at the end of the day, he's not part of that same type of movement and messaging. Massive corruption, yeah, example. An example is illegal immigration. I think that's a great example. So, like, you can look at illegal immigration. Illegal immigration used to be a Democrat issue, where a lot of Democrats, and you can just go back and look this up for yourself, every Democrat nowadays that's calling Trump a Nazi for deporting illegal immigrants was saying the same thing that Trump was saying in 1997. So the reality is that for a lot of these politicians, many of them were advocating for this, but they have been co-opted and they've been compromised by big business to operate in the best interest of those companies. That's the reason why. And so even up to 2012, yeah, I think so. Who benefits from immigration? So the people who benefit primarily from immigration are companies. Companies benefit primarily from immigration because they're the ones that, number one, they add more people into the economy, which can increase their target audience of people that they can sell to. And number two, more importantly, they get cheap labor. And they get cheap labor that's under the table. Like, in my opinion, every time that they have an illegal immigrant raid at one of these companies, the people that run the company need to go to jail. Well, they need to be investigated and through discovery, court discovery. If it's found that they know that they were employing illegal aliens, I think they should be charged and put in jail for human trafficking. Like, that's what I would do. Anybody who is aware of this up and down the line, I would just put them in jail. And that's it, but nobody talks about that. And haven't you know, isn't it interesting that nobody on either side really is talking about that? It is a very fringe opinion for what I'm saying here. Nobody on all of the left-wing people are talking about how racist and oh, like they hate brown people. Like no, like we want to put if theoretically we want to put the white people that hired them in jail and that are exploiting them. How interesting, exactly. So this is the reason why I think, and I'm going off on a big tangent, and I apologize, but the reason why I'm doing it is I'm trying to paint a picture of the reason why I think the U.S. has been occupied by these special interest groups and by primarily big money. Big money has a vested financial interest in keeping Americans divided with identity politics so they don't have something like this happen and unite against the parliament or against a business ruling class. That's it. Trump used a fake emergency powers for a war that was never happening to place a blanket sales tax on us without having to pass a bill or get votes due to dog water. I don't know about that. I mean, like, maybe that's true, maybe it's not. I'd have to look at the tax and see what it is. But my point is that like that's the reason why I think it can happen somewhere over there, and that's the reason why I think American politics are the way that they are. And again, at the very beginning, anti-government. When was the last time that you ever heard of an American anti-government protest that wasn't just maybe a couple of like Antifa retards? Never. Because both parties are created as controlled opposition to each other in order to maintain the status quo.
Stoked by lawmakers pocketing allowances.
January 6th? No, that was just right-wing people mad that they lost the election. That's it.
Times the average Indonesian minimum wage. Now, 7 officers are in custody, but the driver who killed Akban.
The No Kings protest? No, the No Kings protest was an anti-Trump protest that was accusing him of being a king. Why would people use such bad examples of this?
Still remains unknown. In Jakarta, one young man's death has become the symbol of a nation's fury. And that fury is still burning.
Yep.
Let's go to Jakarta now and talk to our correspondent, Ferdinand Hemawan. Ferdinand, how is the situation there this morning?
Damn, they're still naming each other Ferdinand over there? I never met somebody named Ferdinand in my life.
Get ready.
When I drive to the streets today, this morning, from my home to the studio, I can see that there are some public facilities have been burned down during the protests, such as the bus stops, the toll gates, several police stations, and several police vehicles has been burned down.
Listen to what he's saying too. Everything, and I'm sure that there is wanton violence and looting that happens, and it's bad whenever it happens anywhere. But the primary victims and the primary things that were being destroyed by these protesters are government buildings. It's not like BLM, where they burn down an AutoZone and loot a Gucci store. That's a huge fucking
in the streets. And the major toll roads in Jakarta is also still closed, and the people are still cleaning up after the protest. But and Jakarta is not the only place that the protest was happening. It was happening also in other big cities in Indonesia, such as Makassar, Solo, and stuff. But I can say that for now, the situation is getting more conducive, and hopefully it can get more conducive and not escalate even more from now on.
Ferdinand,
if they want to de-escalate it, they got to put the guy that ran the person over in jail. They got to say they're going to put him in jail. Like that, and I don't even think that's going to be enough. I think that would just maybe hopefully stop things being burned down.
Protests erupted after a motorcycle taxi driver was killed by a police vehicle. Then there was the wider demonstrations that expressed a kind of public discontent.
It says, stop it, your bigotry finds you the truth. No level of immigration hurts the economy the way endless wars do. Blaming and throwing poor people under the bus is just a button to distract you whine, like it does for most right-wingers. Sadly, that's the ransom you've accepted. If no level of immigration doesn't hurt the economy, then why are all the immigrants coming from economies that are hurting? Number one. Number two, you're right. I don't think we should have endless wars either. It's possible to be anti-illegal migration and illegal immigration and also anti-war. I know this might sound crazy, but it's possible to have both of these opinions. And I think that, by the way, most people believe that. Ban them?
Any healing is good.
Your bigotry blinds you to truth. Yeah, that's a yeah, that's a ban.
Tell us more about what the protesters want or what they're protesting against.
More than half of the mission area. Keep going.
Yeah, that's correct. The death of the motorcycle taxi driver was the trigger that made this protest reach its peak. But the initial focus of this protest was because the bad economic situation in the country that was created by the bad economic policy from the government. The government kept increasing the tax, the living cost is increasing, but the people's economic situation is hard. They are facing mass layoff, they are facing low wages, and the unemployment rate is getting higher. And on the other hand, when they are facing that, they heard that the MPs got a fantastic salary and increased house benefit that is 10 times bigger than the minimum wage in Jakarta. That makes the people angry. But what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a let them eat cake moment. I mean, obviously, this is the same thing that's happened all over the world, like historically, where people have gotten furious at, these rich people that are giving each other massive amounts of money. And, the people that are actually living in the country aren't making anything. They aren't making shit. 6K is like 600K in the US. Yeah, I know. And look at how much money Nancy Pelosi's worth. That's the difference. For 10x over here is a joke. People are 100 and 300xing here.
The people really angry is the response from one of the MPs that are mocking the protesters that are protesting against the fantastic salary of the MPs. So what we saw in the past 2 days, that is how the public expressing.
And somebody says, again, I just want to make sure that, let me see if I can find it here. And there's a comment that somebody made, and I want to see if I can pull it up. Yeah. So this is a comment. I apologize. There's a lot of people that like to do this. You have been contradicted. Of course, you say Pelosi and not rich-wing people. I understand what you're trying to say. You're saying rich right-wing people.
Make all the difference.
The reason why I use Nancy Pelosi as an example is because Nancy Pelosi is a good example. You have been captured by the same partisan politics that prevents you from being able to have any sort of solidarity with people that share your viewpoints. That's the real reason. You are the example. Like, whenever I said that America has been occupied and they've been controlled by people that are, like, basically psyoping them into thinking that, you think Nancy Pelosi's on your side? What are you, fucking retarded? She's worth $250 million? Yeah, and this is the problem that people like this have. Is that, you're out here counting points.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds.
It's embarrassing.
Stay strong.
Their frustration towards the government and the elites in this country.
At the same time, after the death of this motorcycle driver, we saw that President Subianto apologized. Did those actions appear to be calming the situation?
Doesn't seem like it.
Actually, in the statement, President Prabowo Subianto didn't say sorry to the people. Didn't apologize. Say sorry to the people. They just say.
Why would you not do that? That's stupid.
Condolences to that motorcycle taxi driver, but it seems like that the government still insensitive to the people's condition, and this situation can be de-escalated only if the government really listens and also have the empathy to the people to really give what they want and really just talk to them. That kind of action
they're gonna burn the shit
really escalate this tension in Jakarta and also in Indonesia.
All right, that's DW's Ferdinand Hemawan in Jakarta.
God damn.
Those protests. Ferdinand, thank you.
Yeah, I think this is really, really bad. Illegal immigration isn't as big of an issue as the media makes it out to be, if anything. And if anything, it helps so much. Don't believe me, I can send you a link of a very good video with zero bullshit, good arguments and sources. I don't need to look at a study to realize that having a bunch of uneducated people that don't speak my language coming into my country to do, in most cases, almost all cases, completely fucking unskilled labor. I don't need a study to tell me that I'm wrong about that. It's obvious that that's bad. People constantly going, but if you look at this study shows, this study in a lot of cases, by the way, a lot of these studies that they do are deliberately misleading. They are deliberately misleading, and they create false narratives based off of the way the data is collected. They don't look at second-order effects. They look at things inside of a vacuum, they analyze it in a very narrow way, and they draw a conclusion to the entire outcome. That's it. You can lie in studies. Yes, people have it's a study. Oh, there's a study about this. It says there's a study about this. I don't need to hear about that. Absolutely not. Nope. So the ferry back data? Yeah, absolutely. What's happening now in Indonesia and also happening in the Philippines? I'll see if there's any new information about this. But yeah, I think that it's very, like, I'm glad to see more people that are pushing back against the government, you know, making huge amounts of fucking money, doing all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is fucking insane, man. This is out of like Call of Duty or something like that. I don't even know what people are saying here. Most of the illegals in your country do the work you don't want to do. Isn't it an agriculture branch that's collapsing in the U.S. now? Yeah, but I don't think that the solution to the solution to Americans not wanting to be, basically like farm laborers or crop laborers is not to import a bunch of people to do that job for them. Like, it's just simply not that's not the way that I would solve the problem. I think it's a bad way of solving the problem. It's just that simple. Photography's nice though? Yeah, you're right about that. Oh, and this is from yesterday. Holy shit, look at this. Or from earlier, I guess, at night. God damn. This is like GoPro or something? Look at this. Stupidest thing I've heard, yeah. They got field of view real high? Yeah, exactly. They're shooting back. Man. Holy shit. They looted a lawmaker's house? I'm not surprised. Indonesian always joking about these, just corrupt 50%, give the people there 50%. Yeah, it seems like that's not it. Burning houses is not going to make the situation better. I think that people are just, whenever people feel like there isn't a democratic alternative and a way to solve this problem democratically because they think that the people doing it are corrupt, I think that's really the issue. Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, let's see here. Thought for America infiltrating Greenland? Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think so. And yeah, I had no idea. I think you nailed it with your point about distracting the public. Immigration is another huge distraction. Historically, when other countries start to fail, the powerful always distract us by saying, just blame the new guy. I think that there are two things that are true. Immigration is a problem, and there are also a lot of other problems too. I don't think that these are mutually exclusive things, that every single problem is because of immigration. I don't think that's true at all. Like, that's not it in any capacity. It's kind of weird when they riot in America, but when it's overseas, I don't mind. Well, that's because overseas they don't have the same type of diplomatic process that we do. That's one of the big differences that a lot of people don't really understand, is that in a lot of these countries, like especially like even in Europe, right? Like certain types of political speech isn't allowed. You know, some of these countries don't have democratic processes. I mean, Indonesia does. But I'm just saying, like, in a general sense, that's the reason why. And so, like, whenever you see an American protest that's about, like, saving illegal aliens, I think that it's very different than when you're watching a protest here that's about, like, a blanket government, like, government corruption. That's the big difference.
Your powers are mine!
You need to pinpoint exactly where a phase shift occurs where it's justified to violently oppose state power. I mean, not really. I mean, something like that is so specific, it's hard to say. Yeah, holy fucking shit. They're also protesting with their flag. Yeah. Well, that's how you know it's not in America. You can see like Indonesian flags. Jesus. Yo, look at all this. Oh my God. Jesus, is the Poland flag upside down? I don't know about that. But yeah, anyway, yeah, processing police brutality. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fucking up. God damn. God fucking damn. Okay, give me a second. I use bathroom. Okay. England's protest right now? Yeah, I think that, well, I mean, England is a great example, right? Where, like, people in England aren't really being represented in the way that they think that they should be, right? And I think that's a good example. Whenever you don't have freedom of speech. Because you don't have freedom of speech, what else you gonna do? Let's see if there's any more, dude. Holy shit. Look at all that. God damn. Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's poured out. Okay. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, people can't afford shit. $3,000. Yeah, they're being harsh too. Oh my God.
Another one in May. And all of those demonstrations is excessive and unnecessary use of force by the police force.
I wonder why.
Was used improperly, water and beating. So I think when people are seeing with their own eyes a motorcyclist being trampled by a police vehicle, that's just the trigger.
Yeah, it's a flashpoint for sure. Ooh, the book in the background, I didn't see it. Yep. Workers in low-wage jobs. Why am I not surprised? It's pretty simple. When you keep playing a game, you can't win. You stop playing the game. Yeah, I think that's about it. And I feel like really this is what's happening in a lot of countries.
Keluhan rakyatnya sendiri. Itu yang bikin gua
Absolutely.
cukup prihatin.
Pemerintah akan menjamin
A promised action. Surely they're going to do something about this. Man. Man, I'm just coming in. Where's it taking place? It's in Indonesia. And yeah, a lot of this has just been like a total fucking meltdown, right? I mean, people have been losing their fucking mind. Demonstrators have used tear gas belonging to the police. It's fantastic. Yeah, people are fighting back a lot. And this is the high taxes. Yeah. Yep. Jesus, look at all that food. Holy shit. Oh my God. Oh my God! This is insane! Look at this! Yeah, it's a PvP. Yes! What the fuck? Holy fuck, bro! I know! Oh my fucking God! For all those women officers? Man, I think a lot of them, yeah. Man, that's a lot. Do you think this is okay? I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, it's not good to throw food at people like that. I mean, it's not great to do. But, you know, again, I think that the way that I judge what happens in America and how people act in America is different than the way that I judge what happens in other countries because their laws are different and the way people can express themselves is different. So that's really the difference for me, right? I mean, so I know some people might not understand that, but that's at least what I see.
You are safe now, my friend.
Tectone announces a break from streaming. Let's see what he said. Yeah, guys, I'll be real. I'm away for a while. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but my mind is clouded. I'm just angry every day. I'm crashing out over nothing, and I don't want my resentment guiding me. I see where I'm headed, and I don't like it at all. I'm saying things I don't mean. I'm tilting out over the smallest things. The worst thing is I can't even explain to you guys why I'm so angry, and that's what's frustrating me the most because I value transparency over everything. I'm going to go on break, hopefully not for long, but no streams for a while. This date that I have to keep waiting for is getting closer, but the wait is harder. I plan on making some YouTube videos and just talking and tweeting every now and then, but nothing too much. I need to get my head straight again. Appreciate y'all. Bye for now. So, as somebody who knows more about this than the public, I think that when he comes back, all of this is going to make a lot more sense. Yeah. So, don't worry about it, guys. Tectone will be back. It's not going to be a big deal. Everything's totally fine. What about you? I mean, the thing is for me is that, like, I went through a lot of, like, for me, I think that a lot of people don't understand that, especially somebody in Tectone's position, and somebody that like is out there all the time talking and interacting with people and making content and putting themselves out there constantly, that kind of stuff can be really draining, and it can really fuck with your mental a lot. And I know you might think to yourself, oh, streaming is so easy. All you do is go live and play video games. I mean, like, yes, that's, I mean, like, fundamentally you're right. But the problem is that there's like a middle of the experience thing. So this is the way that I think a lot of streamer mental states over time. Okay, and so this is going to be kind of maybe a weird chart to do, but I'm going to go ahead and let me just do this. I'll make it darker, that way it's easier for you guys to read. It's not as bright. Streamer mental over time. Okay, so what this means is that basically, and so we're going to look at the X and the Y axis here, okay? So we have, let's see here, happiness, right? Well, actually, I'm just going to say, this is, let's say, actually, just do mental illness. Cosmic might returns. Mental illness level, right? Okay. And then we're going to have over here, time spent streaming. Okay? So, this is what happens to streamers. That's it. And so anyway, what we have right now is that basically, whenever people start streaming, they're not really mentally ill. They're just enjoying streaming. They're having fun. Everything's going great. They're happy. They have their viewers, their community. They don't really care about how many viewers they get. They don't care about anything else. They're enjoying themselves. Everything is good, right? And so this is like, I don't really want to give people examples. I don't want to give examples of people that I think have like high levels of mental illness for streaming. I have them. I have a lot of examples, okay? So actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and just use me as an example. Me in 2016. I would stream every day. I didn't really care about viewers or anything like that. I'm just going to look at myself. And then, so I'm going to look at me and then over time, 2018 to 2019, right? And I would say that this was like peak mental illness time. I was rage quitting video games. There was all kinds of big issues, etc. Me, 2022 to now, right? And so Dark Souls era, right? And so what happens is that streamers, especially as they grow, a lot of streamers get addicted to the popularity that they're getting and the attention that they get. And in doing so, I think it creates a tremendous amount of mental illness. And as time goes on, there are streamers that have transcended this and no longer had these problems. Do you remember whenever Summit punched his monitor and turned off his stream, and then he was having issues with his stream? That's whenever he was up here. Now he's not up here anymore. Now he's down here. He clocks in, he chills out, he enjoys his stream, everything is great, okay? Going offline, guys. I'm gonna give you another good example. Chance. Do you remember Chance would have like all these weird dramas and like dumb shit happen back in the day? And like this is like very, very long time ago, like with his ex-girlfriend Leia, etc. And like Chance would have dramas and problems, etc. That's whenever he was up there. Now he has, again, achieved a degree of enlightenment and he enjoys what he does and he's happy again, right? And so everything's okay. Lyric, I mean, he doesn't even have cam, right? So it's hard to even get a great read on like the way he felt about stuff. But Lyric is definitely down here. He's been streaming for a long period of time, and he's totally comfortable with it. Speed, Lyric, I feel like Lyric's all the time. That doesn't apply to everyone. I'm gonna permaban you for that comment. You're going to be permabanned for saying that a graph that does. You're gonna be permabanned for saying a graph doesn't apply to every person.
You are all but incumbent vessels.
Yeah, you're just getting permabanned. Like I don't even want to explain it to you. It's just a waste of time. So anyway, and this is what happens in general, right? And so anyway, basically, streamers, as they stream longer, I think that it negatively affects their mental state. And I've seen so many streamers, like it's actually crazy how many people behind the scenes have like these crazy weird mental issues. Like it's super, super common. It's way more common than you would expect. Like I would expect like maybe some people to be like that and to be kind of popular, but no, man, like it is crazy, crazy, crazy prevalent. And it's shocking to see how many people are like that. And so that's basically what's happened so far. Do you think the graph changes into the mental issues coming into the space? Well, of course, I mean, obviously there's a million, you know, coinciding variables and factors that come into play. But I'm just making a general statement on the way that I've seen it happen, right? Do you realize that their behavior is happening to anyone growing up? It's not unique to streamers? Yeah, sure. But I think that streamers are broadcasting it all the time, so it's more easy to identify and to track and to, you know, like basically observe over time. And that's the reason why. It goes hand in hand with imposter syndrome. Yeah, because like the problem is that when a lot of people reach like a degree of popularity, like right in here, many people develop imposter syndrome. I'm one of the only people that never did that. When I got 10,000 viewers for the first time, you know, like me and McConnell, we were streaming late at night, and about 3 or 4 months, probably maybe 4 or 5, I think about 4 months or so, we went from getting like 1,000 viewers to getting like 8,000 and 9,000 viewers. Like, we were at the top of Twitch. This is at fucking 4 in the morning, by the way. 7 in the morning. Like, we were streaming. And I remember back in the time, I was never thinking, do I have imposter syndrome? I was thinking, oh, only 9,000? There should be more people watching. This is the best content on the website. Everybody else sucks, except for me. I'm better than everybody else playing the game. Why isn't more people watching me? And you know what I did? We just kept going. And then we hit 10. Then we hit 20. Then we hit 30. Then we hit 40. And then we had over 100,000 in Classic WoW. So we just kept going. And so that's all it was. Humble. Yeah, exactly. No, y'all don't understand. My level of ego is, at this point, I don't have an ego. I've got no ego. Go back in time to Asmongold 2012.
There are celebrate life forms.
Wow.
Why should you not?
Wow. That's bad. That was real bad. Yes. And so anyway, yeah, Omegalo, exactly. And so Humble, yes, exactly, can't have imposter syndrome when you are the syndrome. Yes, definitely. And so that's the reason learn humility at the ripe age of 30. I think that, when did I learn a bit of humility? I think that it was when I could no longer be as good as I thought I was in the game. In World of Warcraft. Because like back in the day, I could always play longer, put in more time, put in more effort, outthink, outmaneuver, and come out ahead of anybody, right? Like I would have the best logs, basically. I would have the best gear. I would be like top on my server all the time. But then at a certain point, I couldn't keep up with it anymore. And I realized that I had tied so much of my, you know, like my consideration on like my ability to do things and achieve goals on this video game. And after Nighthold, well, I mean, I'd say a little bit before then, honestly. But like, Nighthold was definitely the beginning, right? And I realized that. And after that happened, I kind of just stepped away, and I was like, you know what? Actually, like, it doesn't really. It's just a video game, right? It doesn't really matter. And so, like, that's really what it was for me. Yeah, you grew up with morals? I mean, not really. I mean, but that's it. Caught on middle-aged internet was something to have an ego about, to be honest. Yeah, bro, like, it was a big deal. When you're young, it's all you think about. Yeah, exactly, right? Losing someone you love often teaches humility as well. Yeah, I mean, like, I think that definitely sucks if that happens to somebody, for sure. But anyway, so yeah, Tectone having this happen, I hope that he's able to get through it. I see a lot of people that go through it all the time. I went through it myself, and I think many people will. And I just hope they're getting the help they need. I hope they have a support group around them. And again, I think that once Tectone comes back and is able to kind of express kind of where he's been coming from and what's been going on with him, I think that a lot of his behavior will make a lot more sense. So yeah, that's about it. What makes you put so many hours into streaming? What makes me put so many hours into streaming? I like it.
Tremble before power!
Yeah, I like it. I like doing it. And yeah, I like doing it. And it's an outlet. Yeah, it's an outlet. Like, I mean, because I want to, like, anytime I'm not streaming, I'm like tweeting. I gotta do something, bro. Like, I just feel like I always gotta do something. I gotta be doing something, one thing or another. And that's how it's been for me. People give you too much content. They give me a lot of content, right? Is it worth the mental health of people? I mean, it depends on who it is, right? I mean, like, I think that a lot of people, here's the truth, is that streaming is an extremely mentally corrosive activity, and it can be very mentally draining, and it can be upsetting, stressful, and problematic for a lot of people, and there are a lot of downsides to streaming. But all that being said, I think that 99% of people would love to trade their place with a streamer, and they would say that streaming would be easier than their 9-to-5 job, and at least easier in all things, right? So, like, let me just give you a very, very simple example. Like, is streaming easier than a 9-to-5? You don't have to drive to streaming. You spawn in at work. So, like, the time that you spend driving to and from work, because you have a 9-to-5, you don't have a 9-to-5, you have an 8 to fucking 6, because you have to wake up an hour early, and you have to go fucking, you take time going home. And so it's not only 9-to-5, exactly. And so you go in and you spend all this time doing it. Yeah, it's very draining. Yes, like, obviously streaming can be draining, and there's negatives to streaming. There's many negatives to streaming. But the point is that it's not really about whether there's negatives to streaming or not. The point is about whether there are positives. And I think that for at least somebody who's a popular streamer, right, someone who's making good money, I think that if you're a streamer and you're not making at least $100,000 a year, you should quit. That's my advice. Or you're not on track to make that much money.
Capture the mission area.
Here's the reason why. Streaming is such a unique job that it's hard to take those skills into any other career at all. And $100,000 isn't a lot of money nowadays. And I'm speaking from the perspective of a man who lives in Austin, Texas. This is a place where, like, a shitty house is worth $300,000, right? But, like, and I understand, like, so if you're a guy, you're living in, like, Indonesia, for example, right? You looked at that the other day, $100,000 is like you're fucking, you know, Elon Musk. But what I'm saying is that plus no 401k, yeah, you don't have, there's a lot of social safety nets that jobs provide and opportunities that jobs provide, like things like health insurance, etc., that you don't get as a streamer. And also, like, you're not developing any career skills in a lot of cases. Like, for me, it's a very unique situation because I started multiple businesses while streaming, but that was also something that was a result of me. I mean, I went to school for business, right? And it was something that I was passionate about also. And I'm also a very, very small minority. And if you want to think about something else, think about all of the different businesses that I've started, how, I'm just going to say it, massively fucking successful they are. through primarily no fault of my own, because it's the team doing it, not me. Like, obviously I helped and I was able to get the word out there and I was able to, you know, make some decisions, and I help out every once in a while. But I am not the causal factor for, you know, any of the organizations or anything like that to be successful. It was other people, right? But I try to be a conduit to help find those people and to help empower them to do their job even better. But the point is that if you look at the successes that I've had over the years, I mean, I think I've got a really good fucking like, I've got a great ratio. I have. I've done very, very well. And so, yeah, a good team reflects a good manager and owner. I understand that, but it's also important to make sure that you recognize that you have the good team. And so that's really it. And so I started, you know, obviously fucking, you know, OTK, Mythic, Starforge, Mad Mushroom, all of them are doing extremely well. Like, I mean, I'm not really involved that much with them anymore. Like, I just kind of, like, I'm friends with everybody involved. I'm not really that involved. And then maybe, you know, like, if they're doing an event or something like that, maybe I'd show up because it's people that I know. But, you know, I've kind of decided to go my own way because, you know, I just feel like, again, and this is a conversation, actually, you know, this goes back to, like, what I was saying with Tectone, right? I mean, Tectone does, like, controversial content, and he did the same thing with Mythic, right? He's like, I'm going to step away and not really be involved with this anymore because I don't want to have, like, AoE damage for things like I did. You started OTK? Yeah. Yeah, I did. Go back to the video. I was the one that I announced it to 100,000 views. And it was good. And so that was it, man. So vacation reasons. And so anyway, no, and again, like we had a lot of we had a lot of positive you know, successes, right? But that's it. Maintaining the world ownership, I mean, to a degree, right? But like not in an ongoing way, if that makes sense. It's very complicated, and the reason why is that the way the company was started, I didn't want to have my own personal involvement in it for you know, privacy reasons. So it's very complicated for me to answer that. But like yes and no. And anyway, let me go back. I'll see this here. Do you do more shit to help the game devs? Maybe. We'll see what happens, right? And would you say you're financially well off because of smarts or people? Well, maybe it's smart enough to pick the right people. The illegal migrant simulator is insane. So a few days ago, how many days ago? 2 days ago, I make a video about this and I talk about it. And this has attracted a tremendous amount